As internet culture progresses, the topic of what generation you're from seemingly becomes more and more important. I was born in 2005, which puts me firmly into Gen Z, the first generation who grew up with the internet already as an established thing. And I never really thought about that until Gen Alpha people started using the internet, and then Gen Z started identifying with their generational label to differentiate themselves from the skibbity kids. Of course, this kind of generational discourse is dumb. For decades, people have been projecting all the problems they have with the world onto the current generation, and nothing good has come from it. But it does make me wonder how people are going to remember the generation I'm from when we grow up. Every generation has iconic imagery and pop culture associated with them. What will that be for Gen Z? Of course, I'm a video game channel, and there's a wealth of video games that have had a huge influence on my generation I've played. Gen Z, or most of it at least, grew up in the late 2000s and early 2010s as consoles like the PS3, Xbox 360, and Wii were huge. I've had many conversations sharing memories about nostalgic games to me, like Mario Kart Wii, Minecraft, or Super Mario Galaxy with people around my age. There were even some games like Call of Duty Modern Warfare or Halo 3 that I never played since I was a Nintendo kid, but I later got to enjoy. All those games were unavoidable at the time, and a large fixture of culture. But there's one pair of games from around this time that might just be the #1 source of gaming nostalgia for Gen Z. The biggest games that will be associated with my generation: Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort. I've never played them. I had a Wii as a kid. I had both games. I just never played them for some reason. They didn't come in the standard Wii cases, so maybe I just forgot about them. I've played literally every Wii game I had besides those two. One of the Wii games I had was Babysitting Mama. Wii Sports was a massive cultural event. The first game alone sold 80 million copies. It was packaged in with the Wii in most places when it launched, which heightens its numbers a bit, but it's still an impressive feat. People weren't buying a Wii and Wii Sports happened to have come with the console. Wii Sports was the reason people were buying the console. It was a part of its image and it sold the console. The things this game could achieve with its motion controls had never been seen before, and Wii Sports was a core part of what made the Wii such a huge success. It was the new toy everyone had to own. When I grew up, I saw Wii Sports everywhere. They had Wii Sports in retirement homes, businesses. Sometimes I saw people at school playing Wii Sports. Like they set up TVs in break rooms, and teachers were playing Wii Sports. Even after Wii Mania died down, tons of people my age were nostalgic for the game. There's an absolute ton of memes made about it. It wasn't just Matt either. People talked about the games a lot in general and just made a lot of jokes about them. I've always felt nostalgic over the two Wii Sports games too. I grew up seeing Wii Sports everywhere after all, but it felt a little bit weird since I hadn't actually played them. It is weird that I haven't actually played them, but you know what I mean. When everyone kept talking about how fun these games were, I can't help but feel like I missed out on something. Flash forward to a couple of months ago, I'm cleaning out some electronics and I find both Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort. Resort was even still sealed in its box. I was pretty excited. I thought, why not see what I had missed out on by finally playing them? So today, I'll go over these legendary games I never played and trying to figure out just what made them such cultural juggernauts worthy of defining a whole group of people. I missed out on Wii Sports, but there's still time to see what they were all about. When you boot up the game, there's the 5 iconic sports: tennis, bowling, baseball, golf, and boxing. I was kinda surprised by how simplistic the game is. The only content aside from the sports themselves is a training mode and a sort of fitness test. Simplistic is the best word I'd use to describe Wii Sports in general. I'm very surprised this wasn't envisioned as the pack-in title for the Wii at first. Tennis might just be the most well-known part of Wii Sports. It's a sport that translates very well to video games. Hitting rallies feels video gamey already, just ask Ganondorf. And the scoring system being split up into multiple rounds gives you an opportunity to make a comeback if you're not doing too hot at first. It's a pretty fun sport to play here. Obviously the motion controls are why you play this game though, and once again the topic of simplicity comes up again. The Wii's motion controls are impressive, but they're kind of a smoke and mirrors trick. The motion controls of the Wii really just measure the position of the Wii remote and whether or not it's being swung. When a Wii game tells you to swing the Wii remote down, odds are you can just waggle it and produce the same effect.
Actually, don't do that though. I didn't have the Wii Remote wrist strap on. Don't be like me.
It wouldn't be until the Wii Motion Plus add-on that more complex movements were possible. This isn't a problem in tennis. All you need to do is move your character and swing at the ball with the right timing, and then you're already playing tennis. It works. Wii Sports doesn't have too much aesthetic flair. Like I said before, you jump immediately into the sports, but what is there does a good job. The theming of the game is centered around a sports channel, which fits with the Wii theming as a console. Once again, I'm surprised this was not meant to be a pack-in title. That's kind of insane. Overall, you kind of have to look a little bit beyond the surface for the signature Nintendo charm in this game. It's subtle, yet present. Well, I guess except for the Miis themselves, that is. Bowling is, once again, a simple sport. Once I'm done with the script, I will take note of how many times the word simple or simplistic appears in it. Most of the Wii Sports bowling game involves you picking a spot and rolling the ball forward really fast with your arm in a way that will probably really injure you if you do it too fast and for too long. Look, all I'm saying is I see why they have a notification telling you to take a break every 2 seconds now. The game is pretty approachable. After only a few minutes, I managed to get a few strikes in, but there's still a challenge in how precise you can be. The game goes on pretty long though, and it's repetitive throughout. Maybe that's just because I'm busy and I don't have the time to invite friends over to play Wii Sports, so I'm not getting a multiplayer experience. Look, I swear it's not because I don't have any friends. One thing that made Wii Sports super iconic is the Miis. They were so popular they started a trend of simple customizable avatars, and 90% of the things that were influenced by Miis, your Bitmojis, Xbox avatars, or sports mates, look very uncanny. Miis have a more stripped down design to them, which makes them really a lot more recognizable. They're a caricature, but they look safe. Miis have since been used on the DS, 3DS, Wii U, and Switch. They even got into Smash, but they'll always be most known for Wii Sports. An entire generation made little dudes of everyone they ever interacted with because of Miis. Actually, funny story, I played this on the Wii I had as a kid, and there were only 3 Miis based on people I know. Me, 2 of my cousins, which barely change anything from the default Mii design. Every other Mii is named some random combination of letters and numbers. I don't even really know what I was doing there. Like, the next sport is baseball. It's very easy to control because you're basically just batting and pitching. Playing baseball in video games has always felt odd to me because they never really simulate the experience of running after you hit the ball. Functionally, most of them just involve you pressing one button when the timing is right. I can't complain about it in Wii Sports though, because it is still fun and there are 4 other sports to play. Hitting balls in baseball feels the most true to life of all the sports in the game, and the batting is really enhanced by the motion controls in a way that wasn't really necessarily true for the other sports. This might be the best designed sport in the game, even if I found tennis more fun. Pitching's a little more shoddy though. The actual motion you're supposed to swing the Wii remote isn't quite as clear, and for some reason it was really easy. I get it's easy because I just started the game and I'm on beginner mode, but the batter just kept getting strike after strike after strike, and I was wondering, am I doing something wrong? A strike is their fault, right? Please understand I'm not a sports guy. The biggest problem with baseball is probably the size of the Wii Remote. It's stubbier compared to an actual baseball bat, which is the number one thing keeping it from really feeling like baseball. The game tells me to hold the Wii Remote in 2 hands. Nintendo, how small do you think my hands are? The physical aspect that comes along with the motion controls is a big part of what made Wii Sports so popular. Playing Wii Sports for a while takes a lot of effort. It is a workout. The game even plays into it in a way, with stuff like the physical fitness test you can only take once per day. It's pretty silly you can only do it once per day, to be honest though, and the concept of a physical fitness test on the Wii using motion controls would later be expanded upon in Wii Fit a couple years later. The 2000s was a very health-conscious time, so implementing fitness into games like this was a way of playing into that, especially for older people at the time. Something about it just comes off as tacky to me though. Wii Fit has not aged well. That's a discussion for another video. Golf. This is the one where the motion controls didn't work the best for me. You have to be quite precise about how hard you hit the ball, and the motion controls for actually hitting it don't work the best. It's actually quite a simple version of golf though. A lot of the golf games I played had weirdly complicated systems for how you hit the ball. Here it's more streamlined. You and I both know this game is meant for multiplayer primarily, but even still it feels surprisingly lacking in single player content and progression in general. Sure, there's a training mode that's kinda like a mission mode, but it's pretty lacking, and overall there's not really much of a reason for one player to play this game. If you do well at a sport, it increases your skill level, and you can eventually get medals for that, but there's not really any levels in the game, or even a checklist of opponents to face against or something. It's just the sports. I'm not asking for much. It's just that when Nintendo is making games targeted towards everyone who might want to play video games in their own ways, shouldn't there be more ways to play their games? In the Switch generation, Nintendo kind of became infamous for having sports games be very lacking in content. I don't think this is necessarily a new thing for them. Whatever, Wii Sports Resort has more single-player sports anyways. We'll get to that game soon. The final sport is boxing. This is the only one that uses the Wii Remote nunchucks. The game works pretty well. You hold both controllers in either hand, which literally gives you the ability to simulate dodging and punching. You can block too, and it makes for an exciting experience. The controllers both essentially give you feedback by vibrating once you land a hit. The issue is that there's not much variation with your enemies. If you fought one, you've seen most of what this game has to offer. This would have been exciting for the time, sure, but in the modern day, if I wanted a motion-controlled boxing game, I'd play the one with Hatsune Miku in it. After knowing what I know now, and playing what I have now played, would I say I get Wii Sports? Kinda. It's a fun game that's designed very well. I can understand why a family would have fun with it, but its simplicity comes off as a detriment at points. I would play this game a lot more if there were more ways to progress and enjoy it. Look, Wii Sports is a great pack-in title for the Wii. It also feels like a you had to be there kind of game. I don't fully understand why it became such a cultural juggernaut, remembered by a generation for years, even if I know why. Even though it was pretty casual focused, the Wii launch had something for everyone. Wii Sports was their more casual game for the Blue Ocean audience, and for the more dedicated fans, there's Twilight fucking. That game had motion controls, but it wasn't really designed for it since it's also a GameCube game. Do you think anyone's bought a Wii on launch day just to play the GameCube version of Twilight Princess? Why are you aware Smooth Moves was also a launch title in Japan? That's a pretty substantial showcase of the Wii's motion controls and a pretty good game. Although anyone who's played it would be able to tell you at least 3 or 4 micro games that just straight up did not work for them with the motion controls. Wii Sports, anyways, was more of a tech demo than a full game, even if it was a tech demo that made history. After a few years, sales for the Wii seemed to subside. It could have been because of the 2008/09 financial crisis, but sales of Xbox 360s and PS3s were on a rise. People were simply less interested in the Wii. And of course, the Wii U, Nintendo's attempt at capitalizing on the name of the Wii, ended up as a massive failure. When the Wii is talked about now by mainstream sources, it's usually discussed as a toy trend instead of a game console. People mention the Wii in the same breath as Pogs or Tickle Me Elmo, and the Wii didn't make as many loyal gamers as Nintendo might have thought. From 2006 to 2009, everyone wanted a Wii. Even getting one at a store was hard, given how they regularly went out of stock. If you didn't have one, you were missing out. I'm sure lots of people got into video games from Wii Sports and the Wii, but the casual audience that was hooked on the Wii in its first few years didn't necessarily become loyal Nintendo fans. Later on, the Switch would do a lot of the same things the Wii did. It has motion controls and appeals to a casual audience, and it was massive. The Switch even outsold the Wii. There were some revivals of Wii and DS era Nintendo games, obscure or otherwise, for the Switch, like Brain Age, Endless Ocean, Another Code, even Wii Sports with Nintendo Switch Sports. The Switch is a much more consistent seller, and it got a ton of new fans into playing video games. The Switch isn't perfect by any means. Nintendo Switch Sports actually had a ton of problems for one, but now that it exists, the Wii feels like a stepping stone, a lesson Nintendo had to learn about how to balance casual experiences with their core audiences. And to be clear, it doesn't mean the Wii is bad or that its games don't matter. It's got lots of great games and ideas and does some things better than the Switch. The fact it sold so quickly is still impressive too, even if the Switch has outsold it. Wii Sports itself remains a cultural juggernaut, and it defines a whole generation. I don't really get how it sold 80 million copies, but you know what? I've only been talking about Wii Sports, not Wii Sports Resort, its sequel. While Wii Sports did sell better than Wii Sports Resort, Resort is still a big part of the series' legacy, and like half the Wii Sports memes I've seen are Resort related. 30 million copies is still an absurdly well-selling game, even if it isn't as impressive as the first Wii Sports. In this game, the number of sports is more than doubled. It's essentially a showcase for the Wii Motion Plus, an add-on that allowed for more complicated movements with the Wii Remote. Let's see how it improves on the first game. The opening of Wii Sports Resort is so weirdly cinematic. You're literally skydiving right onto a tropical island to open up the game. Fun. A lot of the sports take place in and around one place, Woohoo Island. Right off the bat, there's much more of a sense of unity between the sports when they're connected like this, which gives the game a lot more identity than the first one. The tropical resort theme also affects some of the sports choices. Well, the opening of the game was a 3-minute tutorial on how to use the Wii Motion Plus accessory, actually. That was kind of annoying. Although, there are two sports that return in this game, bowling and golf. They are a lot better thanks to the additions made by Wii Motion Plus. In Wii Sports, the bowling ball had an odd sort of habit of drifting to the left. It's not an issue here anymore. I know it wasn't just a skill issue because sometimes the bowling ball does drift to the left in Wii Sports Resort, and those are the times when I get lazy and I don't throw right. You can also sort of spin the ball in a way you couldn't really do in Wii Sports. After playing Wii Sports Resort Bowling, the original is hard to go back to. And who could forget 100-pin mode? It's so stupid, I love it. Golf mostly plays the same, but the UI is improved. Golf just isn't for me, to be honest. Two sports, tennis and boxing, basically get replacements: table tennis and swordplay. Table tennis is another example of the added depth of controls in Wii Motion Plus. You can turn the paddle around, so there's literally more angles to hit the ball from. The smaller size of the table also means you need to be a little more careful, since there's less area to hit the ball. I don't think it's necessarily better than Wii Sports Tennis, but it is a unique experience. Sword play has a lot of the game feel of boxing, only uses one Wii remote, your sword. You can block and strike, and the aim is to knock opponents off of the edge. You don't have to deal with the same round system as Wii Sports Boxing. You just knock opponents to the water and best out of 3 wins. There's also 2 other modes which basically count as new sports on their own. Speed Slice and Showdown. Speed Slice, I could take it or leave it. It's not bad, but it's basically the size of a Mario Party minigame in content. Showdown is really fun. It's one of the few single player sports in the game. It literally has you fighting a whole crowd of people with swords. Something about it just makes you feel like a badass, and it doesn't really get overwhelming because you don't usually have multiple people attacking you at once. This is as close as we are ever going to get to Wii Sports Dynasty Warriors. Resort does a better job with its tutorials. Besides that 3-minute one at the beginning, in the actual sports, you can finally skip tutorials. And there's a practice phase too. It's a lot easier to get into each sport in general, even when they might use more complicated motions and be less simplified overall. Wii Sports might have been about as simple as it gets, but something about Wii Sports Resort makes it more approachable. One of the sports that's more difficult to get into is basketball. At first, it's a simple shooting contest. You sort of wave the Wii remote above your head to simulate shooting the ball, like ringing a bell above your head as the game puts it. It can be pretty difficult to get used to that motion and connect it to the idea of throwing a ball, especially because it's one-handed. And then you unlock the actual game, a 3-on-3 basketball game. Actual basketball, not free throws. You can pass the ball, move the Wii remote to dribble, use the Wii remote to jump, and even try to slam dunk if you're bold. It's a lot compared to the simplistic movements of other sports, so it's probably for the better that free throws mode comes first, and you have to unlock actual basketball. It's still great, however, and I like that it pushes the concept of what a Wii Sports sport can be. The biggest issue is probably the fact there's so many interruptions. You only play on half of a court, and missing a shot or stealing the ball changes up what side of the court you're playing on. You'll have to watch the cutscenes to reset the players' positions a lot. It's completely understandable why this had to happen, given how much they changed the rules of basketball to match with Wii Sports. It's just that it can occasionally be annoying to watch the same cutscenes over and over again. One thing that's really good about this game though is the sound design. Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort in general both have some great, iconic sound effects, but basketball is an especially good example. Shooting hoops feels awesome, and when you take the ball, there's this odd dissonant sound which symbolizes the court being suddenly turned over. There's some good, classic archery here. It's an obvious sport to put in something like this, and it's a pretty simple game, but still pretty welcome. It uses the nunchucks, which is a clever way of using them. You don't pull back and release to shoot like an actual bow and arrow, but you do hold both the Wii remote and nunchuck, and release a button on the nunchuck to fire. It captures roughly the same feeling of a bow and arrow, despite not trying to replicate it exactly. There's a frisbee mode too, which has the best dog in a Nintendo game ever, and you can fight me on that one. You throw a frisbee around a target in the sand in that one. There's also disc golf, which I liked better than actual golf, to be honest. This sport showcases some of the more complex motions available within Wii Motion Plus. When you think about it, the angle you throw a frisbee at in real life is kinda weird. There's not that many other objects you throw by keeping so close to your chest and tossing horizontally like that. So the fact that it's replicated with ease in Wii Sports Resort is a testament to how motion controls have improved. You can even twist the remote in a kind of way. There's no way that would have been possible in the base Wii remote. Actually, some newer Wii remotes were manufactured with the Wii Motion Plus inside instead of as an add-on. I have exactly one Wii remote with Wii Motion Plus inside, but because of battery corrosion, it looks like someone was hiding cocaine in my Wii remote, so I will use the add-on for now, thank you very much. The system for selecting difficulty in each of the sports is done better in Wii Sports Resort. How is it achieved? By having a system for selecting difficulty. Simple beginner to advanced settings help a lot with making the game everyone can enjoy, and if I had this as a kid, I did have it as a, you know what I mean. I would play it a lot more than the original Wii Sports. Wii Sports Resort is better at, being a game than Wii Sports. I have much more confidence calling Resort a game for everyone than I do with the original. Fitting with the tropical theme, there's some water sports to play: power cruising, canoeing, and wakeboarding. Funnily enough, I was overthinking wakeboarding when I first played it. I thought it was a sort of balancing act where you have to move the Wii Remote around to keep your board straight. Really, all I need to do is keep it flat after doing a trick in the air, and it'll stay flat. I do not think it is within my brain capacity to understand wakeboarding. Canoeing and power cruising are both water-based navigation challenges, and they're pretty straightforward in terms of the motion controls. They work well, and power cruising even has you holding the Wii Remote and nunchuck-like handlebars. I have an issue with that, however. My beef is that when you twist them to speed forward, you have to twist your wrists. Look, it's just uncomfortable. Have you seen what happens to the bones in your arm when you twist your wrist? Why the fuck does a human body do that? The crown jewel of Wii Sports Resort, in my opinion, is the island flyover mode. The game has so many sports meant to give you a workout and get you off the couch that it's great to have a chill one without too many stakes. You're given a full bird's eye view of the whole island, and it's really cool how you can see where all the sports are located on the location. There's a surprising amount of world building for Wii Sports. The mode was later expanded upon in a whole other Nintendo series with Pilot Wings Resort, and stuff like the Island Flyover mode is what makes Woohoo Island such an iconic location to Nintendo. Wii Sports Resort practically is Woohoo Island, and this location is a huge part of its legacy. Overall, Wii Sports Resort is a much better package than Wii Sports. Not just because of the number of sports, the sports are better fleshed out and there's so much more variety and identity in the game. This is no longer a you had to be there experience. I can see why people look back on this game so fondly, but at the same time, I kinda get this feeling of wow, this would have been fun to play back then. I still feel I missed out on something by not being part of the discussion around this game, even if I understand why this discussion happened and what was being discussed. FOMO, fear of missing out, is a real part of Nintendo's current business strategy. They regularly do not ship enough of certain products, causing shortages at stores, or just stop selling anniversary products prematurely to get more people to buy them fast. It's certainly not their main model of releasing things or anything, but it is a thing they do for sure. And it's not hard to see why this started once you see the mad rush for the Wii, circa 2006 to 2009. But in its heyday, Nintendo didn't treat the Wii as some toy trend. They continued expanding on it, updating its motion controls, and making a Wii Sports sequel that's very expanded from the original. Nintendo, for better and for worse, didn't want to move on from the Wii easily. Eventually nostalgia hit, and we didn't want to move on from it either. Why is Wii Sports such a big part of Gen Z's collective memory? Honestly, it's mostly because it was popular. Sure, it says some stuff about the era it comes from, but for the most part it happened because it was a popular game, and lots of people played it. For all this talk about me missing out on the game, I can still have friends over, and I can tell them, hey, want to play Wii Sports? Don't use that Wii Remote with the cocaine in it, and I can still talk about the games fondly with people. Sometimes there's an odd sort of comfort in being the one guy who hasn't played or seen something big, because it means you get to experience it in a completely different way to everyone else. I can say I only played Wii Sports in 2025 and get attention from other people or something. Look, I don't really know where I'm going with this. Wii Sports is a good it's a good game. Wii Sports Resort is better. I see what I was missing out on now, and even if I can never go back in time to be part of the conversation surrounding Wii Sports in 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, I can still be in the present and be part of the conversation in whatever year you're watching this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.